This week at Premier Talk, we bring you to Bloomsbury in central London. Bloomsbury Festival 2021, the annual festival runs 15th to 24th October in venues across Bloomsbury. And their theme this year is Shining Light. Over 100 performances, talks, walks and exhibitions unearth the stories of new arrivals, rebels, women, refugees, cultural groups, freethinkers, alongside groundbreaking science and contributions from artists and scientists working with people with visual impairments. This year's program places the stories of the people, places and cultures of Bloomsbury in the foreground, shining light on the tradition of freethinking and celebrating the rebels within Bloomsbury and the surrounding areas. The festival is partnering with local cultures including the Bangladeshi and other South Asian communities to highlight their achievements and artists, also offering a new generation of local young people the opportunity to work alongside leading creatives. 2021 marks 50 years of Bangladeshi independence, and the festival celebrates this through a variety of events both indoor and outdoor. We are delighted to have the festival director, Rosemary Richards, today with us at Premier Talk. Let's find out from Rosemary all the interesting highlights about the festival. Hi Rosemary, thank you for joining us at Premier Talk today. We are all looking forward to Bloomsbury Festival coming up in October. My first question to you today would be, if you could tell us a little bit about the theme of the festival, which is Shining Light.
We were looking for some theme in 2021 to be optimistic after the really hard year everybody had in 2020. And we've been talking about the communities here in Bloomsbury and how people feel like their lives are on parallel lines, the residents and the people working at the university and the hospital. And what we felt was that we wanted to literally shine a light on different communities. And so we felt that if we put that to our participants and partners and asked them to use their imaginations in their broadest sense about what that might mean to them, whether it was shining light on people, whether it was shining a light on the area and on the history, that they could interpret that with a broad brief, but also that slight feeling of optimism that those words bring to us and the sense of warmth about the festival that we were hoping would be encompassed this year.
And I think it is very much in tune with what we've just been through in the past year, and that is what we are looking for, the light on the other side of the tunnel.
It's exactly that really, and it's about looking at our lives and looking at, we've all been forced to examine our lives, haven't we, over the last 18 months, and how we throw a light on ourselves and on our talents and on our skills and our aspirations and our hopes for the future. And also, for me, our hopes for the next generation of talent as well. Who's coming up? What opportunities have they got? How can they develop their skills? Who are the writers and the artists and the young people living here in Bloomsbury that we would like to help develop their talents and where they might be able to go? Because I think particularly for the youngsters coming into the careers and into the arts, it's been so limited over the last 18 months. And for us, maybe we were sort of slightly more robust in that we've seen different things come through and different difficulties in life and knowing about some of the sort of history before we were even starting. But now people leaving university, leaving school, they've had such a hard time imagining what the future holds for them, having to stay at home and all of that sort of thing. So we felt that it also played to the fact that we never quite know from week to week what the situation will be. And so that with the theme of light, that we would be able to think a little bit about things like light projections, literally, the things that are easy and safe to do, even if, heaven forbid, but even if lockdown happened again or anything like that, things we could deliver and an interesting subject matter. And it's brought a really varied programme together, I think.
By going through the listings, I've seen it's a lot about the younger generation, about the community living around in Bloomsbury, and trying to bring really people of London on a broader scale together, which is fantastic. So if you tell us a little bit in detail about the background of the festival and the significance.
Yes, well, the festival started about 15 or 16 years ago, and it started by a group of professional local artists here in Bloomsbury. But it wasn't a professionalised festival at that stage, so they were doing it because of the love and passion for festivals. And I think that's always the case, whether you're doing it personally or professionally. So they put together their artworks and specified a time, and I didn't live in Bloomsbury at that point, so I didn't see that. So that went on for about 5 years or 6 years, and then funding, I think people felt like maybe they needed some support and funding, and so there was a point where funding came into the picture, and that the festival became more professional and was able to develop a broader reach. And then at one point it was just a festival in Russell Square, just over there, where people were dancing and singing and that sort of thing, pretty much like a music festival with some arts. And then it developed again into this current era, which started in 2015 with support from UCL and University of London, and also with support from Bedford Estates, where we were looking at working with the talent that lies here in Bloomsbury, but in many and various ways. And so our programme consists of not just an outdoor event, but of music and dance and theatre and writing and digital work and galleries and exhibitions, as well as some outdoor events.
And there are about 100 events this year in the lineup. That's huge.
It is a big festival, and I'd have to say we don't produce every single one. We're a programmer of partner events as well as a producer of a few events. So what we do in early part of the year, but also have already started doing for next year, for 2022, is we talk to all our partners, and partners can be anybody from an individual student to a local resident with an arts group or a community group, through to the big institutions here like UCL and other universities, and businesses and professional artists. All sorts of people are on our partnership group. And we have probably a mailing list of about 400 of them. And about 50 to 100 of them tend to come to our meetings, which we hold on a regular basis. And we've already decided the theme for next year, but in the early part of the year we do an open call for ideas, and we have meetings to explain what the theme is for that year, and people suggest concerts, and then we do programme those ideas. So we don't it's not all comers. It's not like the Edinburgh Fringe where anybody can put on a show. We provide a venue. Usually, sometimes people come with their own venue. We market the events, we manage their box office, and we give them some support if they're newcomers, that sort of thing. So it's not really a competitive process, but it is a programmed process, so that we make sure that the theme is reflected through the different festival events, and that we get a wide variety of types of organisations taking part. And and then we produce a few events on top of that. And this year the Heritage Fund has enabled us to produce a different type of event, working particularly with the local community and celebrating the 50th anniversary of Bangladesh independence.
When do you sort of start working? So now, as you said, that the theme for next year is already there and you're looking at ideas. So would we say a year?
Yeah, well, I think with festivals generally, and particularly with outdoor work, if you're commissioning big outdoor work, there's a sort of 2-year period. There's like a year where you start thinking about the funding and fundraising, and we do that constantly because some of our biggest funders are really very local institutions, so we try to think about 3-year partnerships with them. But we're already thinking about Arts Council applications for next year.
And once the festival is over, what's the feeling? Wow, my God, it's done.
You're usually in a state of shock and exhaustion by then, I think. So, and particularly, I think that's true of every festival I've ever done, actually. I don't think COVID really changed that, but with COVID we had a different set of challenges last year. But where we did things, we either did them on YouTube with streaming with 3 cameras. So it's a bit like running a whole broadcast network as well as running the arts events, but the arts events largely, only like 2 or 3 of them had an audience, so live, most of them were. And because of my media background, because I used to work in the media at the BBC, and I've done some filmmaking and I've done some theatre event streaming and that sort of thing, I sort of knew you could do it. I knew roughly how to do it, and I knew how to do it to a relatively cheap level, because of course we don't have massive budgets here, as well as at a broadcast level. So I sort of understood the variabilities. So I took over the role of festival director in March last year, at the beginning of March 2020, and within 2 weeks it was locked down. And at that point nobody knew whether anybody had come to a Zoom partners meeting, but we had, around 80 people joining the meeting, and everybody was so we really want this to happen, even if we can't do it like we normally do it, even if we have to do it digitally, we want a festival.
Tell us in detail about some of the highlights of the programme.
Coming up this autumn, October, we have a fantastic opening event, Lights, Banners, Tigers on Cromer Street, and that is celebrating the diversity of the local area, a little bit of a nod to the Bangladeshi theme that we've got going with the heritage, and tiger of course is a symbol of Bangladesh, and we've got Bengali banners, silk banners from the company Kinetica that are coming to take part in a procession, and we've got light projections that young people are working on in the Cromer Street area with artist Muhammad Ali.
Local businesses popping up everywhere, but it's the fact that they're not accepting us as a community. You know, they see a bunch of kids, they just automatically think that they're troublesome.
Getting attached to the electrics, it was very much a DIY type of living.
Lived in the squats. Basically my dad gave £300 to some Bengali guy. He said he had the lease for the property, but he took the money and then we didn't have proper running water and stuff.
I came to England 28 January 1962. I feel not very good because it was too cold, -6, -7 every day and night.
He's based in Birmingham but is doing quite a lot of work at the moment in London, both here and in Brick Lane. And he's developing a video projection that the Guildhall School of Music and Drama, their live projection unit, will come and help deliver. So we'll have live projection, bit of procession, indoor events on Cromer Street. So that's one piece, and then that first weekend has a bit of a Bangladesh 50th independence theme, not solely, but you know, it has that sort of theme. And so we have a big event at the British Library as well. And we have a lovely opening concert called Belonging, which is by a company called NW Live Arts, and they've been working with refugees and members of the communities around here through various local organisations, and their music is a fusion of Asian and British classical, and is quite unique, I think, in the projects that they develop and deliver. So that's an opening evening concert at Conway Hall. And then the first weekend we have a series of theatre productions, which is supporting not just new talent, but some companies that are more experienced as well. We're looking at, there's a play that weekend as well called I, Minnie Lansbury, by a playwright called Bren Gosling, who's shown work in the festival before. And he's taken the story of Minnie Lansbury, who she and her family took part in a revolt in 1921 in Poplar, sort of Tower Hamlets area, that was against various taxes and that sort of thing. So, so he's been commissioned by Tower Hamlets partly, or people in Tower Hamlets, and we've got a talk and a play about that story. So we've also got a bit of a undercurrent theme of rebellion and people going through. I know one of the final events of the festival on the final Sunday is about, it's called Blast, and it's about an organisation that was looking at rebellious activity, you know, around in the area. So I think Bloomsbury has a history of not rebellion exactly, but thinking differently about things and protesting and that. So we've got some events that reflect that. And then through the week we have pieces of theatre, talks. We've got immensely popular walks programme, which mostly is sold out. I think that's sold out completely already. It's always the first thing to go. And many of our events are free, by the way, as well. So quite a lot of the talks and that sort of thing. Some of the music, lunchtime concerts are free. And then the final weekend, we've got a 2-day discovery hub here where we're talking in Senate House, on the beautiful ground floors of Senate House. And we've got a mobile planetarium that's coming in for 2 days on the Friday, which we're offering some slots to schools and families on the Friday later afternoon and Saturday, alongside a lot of talks from academics about the theme of shining light. And they vary from taking light very literally through to quite a sort of broader interpretation, and some craft activities. That's aimed at people of all ages, but will be suitable for children as well. I mean, not tiny children, but probably 7 upwards.
So what are you looking or doing in terms of restrictions and protocols about safety?
You know, we still have to be careful, and we still have a responsibility for that. With outdoor events, I think people feel a lot more secure how to behave now. I don't think you have to teach people how to behave, but we'll encourage mask wearing where people are in close proximity to others and talking to stall holders and things like that. But it's really working with the council and following the government guidelines as best we can. The audience and the performers have to feel safe, So, but we still all want that experience of having live events and being part of maybe not quite such a massed throng as we would have been before, but part of a group outdoors, if not a crowd outdoors.
We are very happy that Bloomsbury Festival is back this year in its glory and in its full form. So before we go, I would ask you any message to your audience to invite them to the festival.
Yes, just to take a really good look at what we offer, because we do offer something for everybody, really. And I think that if you're local to Bloomsbury, or if you can reach Bloomsbury and come in person, we've got a full offer of live events, plenty there. But also we've decided to learn the lessons from last year and where we can do things digitally, because it can expand our reach and expand our offer to people further afield, internationally, locally. Then also not to think that if you're not on a train journey into Bloomsbury that you can't benefit, because actually you can see it online whether you're abroad or in England.
Thanks very much for joining us at Premier Talk, and we are looking forward to it.
Thank you.